So this is a little reading that I did for myself while I'm killing some time in a hotel room on a trip. And I'm using the Mother Peace deck, which was the very first deck that I learned on. And the question that I asked is, what do I need to know about preparing for retirement? And the first card that I drew, the Daughter of Wands, just is the indicator of where I'm at this stage in my life. And in this case, it's basically someone who's full of joy and exuberance, lots of energy still. And the atmosphere that I'm operating in is the Six of Cups. Tilted to the left, there's a little bit of, perhaps a little bit less enthusiasm and joy coming into my life through my current work, where I'm at now. And then the obstacle card, or what it is that I am needing to work towards or overcome, is the Star card tilted to the right. And this card indicates a need to push through that lack of joy and get to this place of deep peace and acceptance and allow myself to have the healing. The card that's in the root position is the root of the matter. This is the card that points to what is the deeper issue underneath all of this. And this is the Death card, which represents deep personal transformation. And in this case, the imagery of the snake slipping its skin between the birch trees and surrounding a skeleton is about change that is irrevocable. And this is pointing to the changes that I have been going through as a person in the last few years have changed me completely. And so this is really shifting how I am looking at my retirement. I then looked at the most recent past, like where have I been? This is the Shaman of Discs, which corresponds to the King of Pentacles in other decks. And this is basically, I've reached the peak in my career. I've gotten to a place where I've pretty much gone as far as I can. I have mastered my current work. And so this is indicating that I'm ready because I've got to that point of mastery in my current profession. I'm ready to be moving forward and doing something different. I took a look, I skipped over the usual position of looking at the sky next in this particular spread, and I took a look at, in the near future, what's coming up for me. And what comes up is the Nine of Swords, which is sometimes referred to as the nightmare card. It's about fear. It's about imagining all sorts of dire possibilities. And it's interesting that I have a medical appointment coming up this next week in just a few days. That I've been worried about what they might say. And so anyway, it's interesting that as I'm going into retirement, thinking and planning, that fear comes into the picture, fear of the unknown, fear of worst case scenario. And so that's something that's coming up for me that I'll have to confront in the near future. And then I took a look at the sky position, and the sky position is that which is coming into my life at this time. What are the energies coming into the situation? And what comes up is the Seven of Wands in the reversal, and this indicates that what's coming into my life right now is a need not to compete. I need to not compete, and it's not necessary for me. In order for me to hold my current position, I don't have to fight anybody for it. I've reached this place where it's just very steady, and I don't have to fight anymore for it. I also took a look at, this is the self-image position. This is like, how do I see myself? And it's always a good idea to compare the self-image card with the significator card. So the first card that I drew represents what's really core to me and what is the truth about me right now with respect to this situation. What comes up is the Three of Cups, and so how I see myself is as slightly socially withdrawn, maybe moving more into like an isolation mode and not particularly social, and maybe possibly I see myself as not as joyful as I actually am. And so comparing these two cards, it's kind of interesting that with the first card that I drew, the truth is I have a lot of joy and I have a lot of energy. And in the second thing that I drew here related to self, which is the self-image card, is I see myself as a little more isolated, not a joiner, not a groupie, not a member of groups very easily or very well, but a tendency to maybe like to focus one-on-one. And I think that is actually true of me as well. But it's interesting that I don't think of myself as having as much joy as I actually seem to. And then I also took a look at the hopes and fears position, which here with the Six of Swords, this is a very positive card. The Six of Swords in this deck is all about getting the big picture and getting perspective and being able to rise above it all. And I think comparing it to the near future card, the Nine of Swords is a card about fear. And this being in the hopes and fears position, I think they're talking to each other in some way. And so this is going to enable me to have some perspective when I look into the near future, where I'm going to be encountering possibly hearing something difficult or having to just hold my breath while I get good news or bad news, to remind myself to keep focused on the big picture, to zoom in and to really be able to see above it all and look at what is the great pattern there for me. And then in the house and the home position, this is like what is closest to me. So this is my intimate circle of friends and my family, the people that I care about the most. It's also about my home environment and what does this bring to me. Now this one, it is tilted to the right, which indicates like a moving actively into the direction of that energy. The Two of Wands is the strategic planning card. It's the tapping into the wisdom of the ancestors and making careful plans for the future. And so I think it's interesting here that I'm considering things about how will my partner and I be in our future retirement together. And so it shows I'm actively needing to move into a mode of strategic planning for our future together. And then the very last card that comes up is the outcome card, and this is the Temperance card. And this card shows moving into a state of balance. So being able to balance those elemental energies, being able to find a balance between work and play, which has always been a struggle for me. I tend to be one who doesn't play enough. So this gives me a chance to be able to look into the future and be able to see that this is a place where I strike balance. This is what retirement means for me, is being able to find that place of balance. And then as I look out just at the overall spread, one of the things I like to look at is what is the number of majors that are in this total reading. And as I count them, I have 3 majors. The star card here is the card that is in my obstacle or my challenge position, the thing I need to strive for, or if it was a negative card, what do I need to overcome? The card that is in the root is like kind of like, what's this deep, where is it coming from? My question, where does it come from? And it's because I've gone through this deep personal transformation and I'm continuing to do that. And so the death card is another major card. And then the outcome card, I'm finding that balance. And so these 3 just sort of sweep through here, so that as I see that the star card is in that challenging or obstacle position, it's very connected. As it sweeps towards the outcome, it really tackles that deeper issue of the death card and the personal transformation that I've been working in myself, and it takes me to that place of balance. So anyway, this is where I see the action and the reading is happening here. The other thing is that the number of majors, 3 is a number of harmony. It's also a number of working together with groups. And it's interesting, as I think about my astrological chart, I have work to do. My future is with my north node of the moon is in the 11th house, which is the house of groups and friends and membership in groups. And so as much as I see myself as not being a group person, that was this over here, the 3 of Cups reverse, not so much into groups or large groups. That's actually what my destiny is in this life. And so as I'm sweeping towards retirement, this is something that I'm going to be integrating because the number of majors in the reading show that to me. So anyway, that's my own reading, a reading I did for myself. And I just thought people might like to know, like, how do I read the cards? That's what a tarot reading looks like. Be well.